The Brand X podcast is sponsored by Audio Editing Solutions. Editing your podcast, just not your thing? Go to audioeditingsolutions.com and see how affordable professional audio editing can be. Welcome to another episode of the Brand X podcast. I'm John, and with me today, my co-host, the supreme overlord of the universe, has joined me. How you doing, Deuce?
Oh, just fine.
Boy, you sound 100% better.
Yeah, I can croak some words out now.
You had laryngitis. You're fighting a upper respiratory virus, not even an infection. It can't even give you antibiotics for it, huh?
Well, I figured that out when I went there. It's all to make it sound worse than it is. It's a cold.
Okay, it's a cold.
Yeah, because they came in as, I couldn't hear. I was all clogged up. I went to the, those urgent care places.
Right.
And they examined me and everything. And they say, well, you have an upper respiratory. And that's all I heard. And I figured, I got an infection.
And then they said, no.
And then I read it says upper respiratory virus. So, no, I have a cold.
Yes, you have a cold.
Yes, I have a cold.
So glad to hear you back. We were going to do an episode last week, but you were so scratchy. Your voice made my eyes water. And I figured, sorry, but I figured.
My eyes are watering. But I'm hacking my brains out the whole week.
Yeah, so we figured we put the podcast on hold for 1 week due to laryngitis and a cold or an upper respiratory virus. And here we are. And glad to be back and glad to be recording again. And we have a iTunes review. And you know how iTunes reviews warm my heart. I think this is our fourth one.
Warm the cockles of John's heart.
Yes, it does. The only thing missing is the beer. A 5-star review. Okay, full disclosure. I've known John since community college. And Deuce even longer. So this may not be the most objective review. Why does he got to say that? That being said, I finally caught up and current with the last episode, 4th of July. Sometimes it may seem as though they are speaking French, a saying used when you really don't understand what's being talked about. I coined that phrase when you, Don, and Joe would start talking about stuff, and I had no idea. You'd go off on a tangent, and you'd be using all these words. I have no idea what you're doing. I said, it's like you guys are speaking French. I don't understand a word you're saying. So that was, we coined speaking French. So what happens is, when you're with a friend and you've known each other so long that if they say a word, the word automatically conjures up a whole scenario. Like if I said driving with my knee, Deuce, that conjures up a whole story.
Not for Ray, he's a nut. He drives with his knees. Sung to the theme of Bonanza.
Exactly. So if I said that, nobody on the show would know what we were talking about. So we really have to be careful about speaking French, because I found out we do speak French a lot on here, and sometimes the listeners will be like, I don't understand it. They're laughing, but I don't get what they're talking about. So we have to kind of, if we do speak French, we kind of have to say what French is all about, or how the term. We have to translate, is what I'm saying.
And more than likely, when we do drop into speaking French, which we do, I imagine that the audience is saying, well, these guys think that's a riot.
Yeah.
Because we'll be laughing.
These guys
they crack each other.
They crack themselves up.
Yeah, but they don't know why we're laughing, because there's usually there's a whole sequence of stories leading up to that phrase.
Exactly. So back to the review. But comedy value is high, and they are both naturals at this form of expression. If podcasting can be seen as a form of expression, well, of course it can be seen as a form of expression. Don't you think?
Mm-hmm.
Exactly. I'm sorry, did I catch you with a mouthful of water there, did I?
Why, no, not at all.
Back to the review. The banter is natural, witty, and enjoyable. Looking forward to more Brand X. Keep it coming. Are you feeling validated now, John? Why is iTunes forcing me to make up a nickname to post this? Friggin' iTunes. And that's from our friend Don. And he is actually an original member of Brand X.
Yes.
I would love to have Don on the show one time. I'd love to have him on an episode as a guest. I think it would be kind of cool. I haven't talked to him in so long. It's been a year, 2 years? How long has it been since we've been together? When was the last Steak Fest? I can't even remember. It's been so long.
It's been, that would have been at my house about 3 years ago when you were browbeating me to do a podcast with you then.
See?
And unfortunately, the last time I saw Don was at the passing of his father. And that's quite a while ago now. I've been very negligent in
I was there for that.
getting the gang back together.
Yes. So we have to have a steak fest. And Don, thank you so much for the review.
Yeah, thanks a lot.
Yes, Don, I do now feel validated. And you know what, people, if you're out there and you have an iPhone, and if you have an iPhone, you have an iTunes account because you have to use that, your login, sign in whenever you want to buy an app. That means you have an iTunes account. So you just go to the podcast app, you search Brand X Podcast, or it's even easier yet, on your phone, in your browser, you go to brandxpodcast.com/iTunes, and it'll take you right there. And you can leave us a rating and review. And you will be special in our hearts. Like you'll be a friend of the show if you leave an iTunes review. And I really appreciate that. So thank you, Don.
Yes, sir. Thank you.
So since we've last spoken, there's been a lot going on in the news.
Yeah, it's 2 weeks of news piled up behind us real fast.
And I guess you've been following the police shootings and what's going on with that, and I guess the Black Lives Matter has fired up their what would you call it? Their base, their constituents,
I would say they're true believers because
they're true believers.
I would think the bulk of the people in this country do not adhere to what they're pushing for, the assassination of police officers and violence. I think it undermines whatever it was that they were trying to do, because now this is what people are going to remember.
Right. And my thing is, well, here it is. Here's the problem. There's two incidents of what they're talking about. The first incident is the one up in Minnesota where I think his name, I can't remember. Why isn't this in my notes? Here, let me try this. I thought I had notes in here. See, maybe I can't see this in my... Added this card. 2 attachments. What are they? I thought I left a note in here, and I don't see it. Let me try something else while we're sitting here talking. Oh, my nerves.
Philando Castile.
There we go. Why isn't it on? Why can't I see it in my notes?
I knew his last name was Castile.
You know what? Here's the funny thing. In my iPad, it doesn't show the notes. In here, it has all the notes. Okay. So the one shooting was up in Minnesota, Philando Castile. Philando Castile. He was pulled over because he had a taillight out. He told the officer that he had a concealed carry permit and he had a gun on him. And to me, it seemed like he was complying to the officer's instructions. Now, I don't know that because his girlfriend started her iPhone video or her phone video after the shooting. And we actually just watched this man die right on camera. You actually watched him die. So now let me ask you a question because I don't even know this about you. Do you have a concealed carry permit?
I wish.
Okay.
Not in New Jersey. You got to have a picture of a judge with farm animals to get a concealed gun carry license in New Jersey.
Okay, so I thought maybe you did because at one time, when you had the store, you carried money and stuff like that. So I thought maybe.
No, in New Jersey, that's not even ground. They don't think that's grounds to protect your life, which is asinine because you're more than likely to be attacked. I would leave my store with as much money as $10,000 on my person.
Right.
Because I had a very successful lottery business and a very successful retail business. So, and the bulk of that money was state lottery money. It wasn't even my money.
Right. So then you would have to, so that's horrible. So anyhow, I would think that if you had a concealed carry permit, that you would be educated on how to talk to an officer if you were approached by an officer, to let him know that you have a concealed carry permit and that you were going to comply and that you were going to let him, you were going to disarm yourself and let him talk to you. Wouldn't you think that is true?
Well, yeah, you're supposed to alert the officer that's pulling you over because you're going to be putting your hands somewhere that he doesn't want you to be putting your hands. It makes sense because, A, where are you going to have that gun more than likely? It's going to be on your person. And B, where are you going to have your identification on your person?
Right. So
you got two things that you got to go for. And if you're a police officer, you don't necessarily want those hands disappearing.
Right. So again, we all we see is the camera afterwards, and before he dies, he says, I told you I had a concealed carry permit. You told me to get my wallet. And so it was a horrible situation. Okay, that's the first case. The second case is Alton Sterling. Now, this guy was resisting arrest with 2 police officers. They had him on the ground. They were struggling with him. The one cop felt a gun in his pocket, and he said, gun. And they said, stop. You have a gun. Stop struggling. Now, if this gentleman complied to the police and was allowed to be put in handcuffs, there would be no issue. He'd still be alive today, but he's a convicted felon. He's not allowed to have a gun on his person. So I guess this guy knew he was going to jail, and he didn't want to go to jail, so he's struggling to try to get away. Now, there's 2 police officers on here. Now, everybody says, well, he had them restrained. I watched that video. He didn't look too restrained to me. He was a big, strapping man. And anyhow, they shot him. Now, could they taser him? Could they do other things? I don't know. But you've got 2 big police officers trying to restrain this guy, and they're not having a good time of it. And he has a gun. So now their lives are in danger. So that shoot to me seems like a justifiable shoot just from the video. And again, I didn't see everything beforehand or afterwards, but what I've seen, if the guy complied, he wouldn't be dead. The first shooting, I have questions.
Well, I don't know if you've seen this yet. Did you see the surveillance video of what appears to be Philando Castile holding up a convenience store with his gun? That's why he was pulled over. I don't know what all the facts are. This is stuff that's surfaced in the last few days.
Well, they said the police pulled him over for a broken taillight.
No, that's what I believe his girlfriend said.
Well, that's what was said in the video.
But if you hear the police broadcast, the scanner, he had a reason to pull him over based on his matching the description of someone that robbed a business. And then this video. So I don't know what the situation is. I don't want to be like the feckless wonder and just rush in there and make blanket statements because I don't know.
Now you're speaking French again. Who's the feckless wonder?
Well, that would be Obama. But before you have all the facts and this guy gets out there and he makes these blanket statements, and a lot of times they're false when the backup, information comes out. And in this 24/7 news cycle that we live in, everyone just wants to scoop the other guy.
Right.
And the social media is out of control because now they're trying these people in the court of public opinion instead of in the court of law.
And they have no facts. They see a video that was put out on,
and they know everything.
And they know everything. Okay, so this is what I'm getting into. So here's the story with the Castile shooting. I have questions. My questions are: did he have a concealed carry permit? And if he did, then he has a right to carry a gun. If he told the officer that he had a concealed carry permit and he was complying with the officer,
I'm sharing my screen. Here's what I was talking.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay, these are the pictures that have surfaced in the last couple of days.
Okay, so what I see from what you're showing me here is a thin black man in a green shirt with a hat on. To be honest with you, it looks like the comedian. He looks like the comedian. What's his name? The one.
It kind of looks like this guy.
He looks like him. He looks like Deuce Staley.
There's a better picture.
I don't know, Deuce. I can't really tell. I mean,
I don't know either. This is like I said. I'm not going to put a statement.
All right, now show me the second picture you showed me. It looks like this guy. All right, that guy doesn't have a hat on. The other guy has a hat on.
Right.
Okay, so you're seeing
this picture here,
right?
Yeah, I mean where they split it. All right, here's a better picture.
Okay, so I'm seeing pictures of this gentleman here.
I mean, I don't know. And
again, yes, he looks like.
I mean, if they give the police the opportunity to conduct an investigation.
Right. Okay. So now he has reason to believe that this gentleman was involved in a convenience store robbery. So they pull him over, and he announces to the police that he has a concealed carry permit and he has a gun on his person. All right. Now, this might be a ruse. I don't know. I mean, if he did, he tells us, and he goes to grab his wallet, and then if he does pull, then he pulls a gun out and he shoots the officer. So that could be one scenario. I don't know this. Again, this is all conjecture. The second scenario is the cop told him to get his identification. So they said it. And then I guess he reached for something, and the cop shot him 4 times. All right. Now, I don't know how many times you're supposed to shoot somebody. I have no clue. And I don't know.
Well, generally, you're trained to you fire until the threat is neutralized.
Okay. All right. So
that's why this always gets crazy because they didn't need to shoot him that many times. Well,
how many times are you supposed to shoot him? All right.
Well, that's just it. In the case of Michael Brown, that officer had to shoot him quite a few times to put him down. He kept coming.
Right.
And you don't know what the girlfriend's going to do. She might have a gun. I mean, I don't know why this went down. She's saying one thing, and then with this live stream feed, it's going one way.
Right. So
the police have yet to release their version, and I don't know if that police department has body cameras. We might see something on that if that is the instance. I don't know.
But see, at least with the first one, I have questions. My first question is, does he have a concealed carry permit? And if he does, and he has a gun, for some reason, I have more questions about this shoot. All right. Did he identify that? Was he complying to the officer? Did the officer ask him to get his identification and he reached for his wallet? Did all this stuff happen and then he decides, and then all of a sudden the officer gets nervous and he shoots? All right, so now I'm going to make another scenario, and this is just a scenario, all right? I'm just making this scenario. What if the officer got nervous, jumped the gun, and shot him by accident? Thought maybe he was going for a gun. He shot him by accident. Now what should happen? Should the officer go to jail for making a bad shoot? Should the city or state be liable monetarily for the officer's action? And if so, how much money? All right, so these are the questions that I have. In my opinion, my humble opinion, the officer, if he makes a bad shoot, I don't think he should go to jail. In a situation where he makes a mistake. If he makes a shoot in malice, not being an officer of peace, that's a different story. But in something where he makes a judgment mistake and feels like his life's in danger when it wasn't, should he go to jail? No. Should he be removed from the police department? Yes. Should the state and city be liable monetarily for the officer's action? I guess so. But I mean, for how much, I don't know. And then what do we do now because we're such a litigious society? So this is what's been going on all week, and it's a very debatable, very passionate topic. All right, because
it could be something. Here comes Peter Brady.
Because your voice is starting to. I got you. All right, so anyhow,
yeah, we just don't know is what I was going to say.
So then, what happens?
We should give the police departments the time, but in the meantime, you got these people that just want to.
It's a lynch mob.
Quite frankly, in my opinion, they really don't care about Philandro Castile. They're just looking to riot and mob rule kind of a thing. And it's sad because we're supposed to be a nation of laws, but these people don't have the patience to let it play out.
Okay, so here's the second thing. So then, will the police be able to have an investigation where maybe the officer made a mistake, and will they be able to come to that conclusion that officer made a mistake? Remember, the police are unionized. The police, there's a brotherhood. No one wants to, put another officer brother down. No one wants to jam him up. These are things that happen. I mean, this is real life. All right. So now the Black Lives Matters, they're having a protest over these two incidents. The first shooting, I can see. Second shooting, no. The guy, convicted felon.
At this time, you can't see.
No, I can't. The second shooting where the guy was on the ground and resisting. And
I didn't know which shooting
that
you would
one. To me, if that guy would have not been resisting, he'd be alive today. If you're going to resist and you have a gun on you, good luck. I don't like your odds. All right, that's number one. And I don't care if the guy's white, black, or I don't care what nationality or race he is. I don't care. Because to me, it doesn't matter. Police are out there trying to do their job. If you're a convicted felon and you're in there and you're resisting arrest and you have a gun on you, sorry about your luck, all right? Bad choices, bad life choices. So now the police are out there and they are protecting the people's rights in Dallas to protest. And some militant takes this cause and decides to go and shoot, I don't know, how many was it, 7, 9? I forget how many.
Yeah.
Okay, and 5 are dead in Dallas. And now in Baton Rouge, they shot, and there's 5 injured, and 3 dead. 5 shot, 3 dead. All right, so now here we go. Now police have to have their head on a swivel. And how do we fix this?
And I just saw this morning there was a shooting in another state. I believe it was Wisconsin. I don't know if you're aware of that or not.
I mean,
another police shooting.
Right, because here it is Sunday morning. I get up and I'm doing some work here, and all of a sudden across the computer screen flashes, officer shooting, 5 officers, 3 dead in Baton Rouge. And I knew Baton Rouge was where the Alton Sterling shooting was. So I'm like, oh, here we go. So I take and I just get a link and I shoot it to the Jimmy through his phone, text phone, because I shot him the news about it. So later on that day, of course it's
the Jimmy. Oh, Jimmy.
He gives me a call and that's his ringtone.
It's the Jimmy. Oh, Jimmy. What are you doing? What are you doing? What are you doing?
So I pick up the phone and I go, hey, what's going on? And he starts talking to me about the shootings. And again, in the court of public opinion, he's already made up his mind. He saw a couple videos, and he's, the first thing he says is, well, of course, why didn't she start videotaping him before he shot? And I thought to myself, that's the stupidest thing I've ever heard. How would you know to start? I mean, after somebody shoots somebody, then you take your camera out and start filming. But, you're getting pulled over and you don't think there's any reason to film. Why would you even film, right? Why would you even start the video? Why would you do that? So, and then we started about the second shooting, and I said the same thing I did here, that I have questions, like if this guy has a concealed carry permit, if he identified himself to the officer doing that, if he's complying with the officer's instructions, why did he need to be shot? Why? I don't understand this. I have questions on that shoot. Second one, not so much. So Jimmy says, well, you know how it is. You can't tell by that. And I'm like, exactly what you're saying. If. So then I said, of course, but do you understand that if you had a concealed carry permit, wouldn't you know to tell the officers that? Wouldn't you be complying with the officers? Why would you need to be shot? Do you think that maybe the officer might make a mistake, as far as the second one? And the other thing is that you get a couple of stories when these things first come out and you run with them and you make up your own mind. You don't have chances. You don't have the same access to the information and facts that the police do. And can the police make a honest judgment of what happened here? And then the tap dancing starts, right? So now he's trying to tap dance around everything, and he's trying to circle around, and I'm not having any of that. Okay, I'm not doing that. I'm staying on him, and I'm saying, look, you cannot go and use these videos and make a decision, and that's going to be it. All right, you have to wait for the investigation. When these stories break, I don't even read a story for at least 2, maybe 3 days, because everything that comes out in the beginning is bullshit, in my opinion. These news, Fox News, CNN, MSNBC, they're all trying MSLSD. They're all trying to scoop the other one, get the information out there quick as possible. I mean, they're trying to make it accurate, but they don't know. So they get a source, and everybody's running around, and they're putting a lot of misinformation out there, which makes it even worse for the people on the ground there, because it's instant. It's instantaneous. And they're filming. They're filming. All of them there's like 100 cameras posted now in 4 or 5 days. You might even actually see this shooting on film. I have no idea, because these videos.
Well, the shooting that happened in Baton Rouge, I know a second video surfaced, and I think I don't know if I read that correctly. I know there was a second video that surfaced from a different angle, and then you can see exactly why the police reacted the way they did, because this guy, they were having a hell of a time restraining him, and his hands did disappear, and it was like toward his waistband.
Right, and he's got his arm under the car, and they can't get a hold of him, and they can't get. I mean, it's like trying to wrestle an alligator. They gotta tie her by the tail with this guy. So again, I start circling around. I'm like, you cannot, use these films, and you cannot make judgments like this. You really can't do that. And then so now all of a sudden the tap dancing starts getting. Now it's getting faster. All right, now he's. Well, then the statement comes out, well, I guess you approve of them shooting 7 cops, in Dallas and 5 in Baton Rouge. I'm like, where does that come from? See, that's just a desperate plea of a man trying to get you off the topic, get you, he doesn't want to, he knows he's in trouble. He knows he's made statements. He knows that, he sounds like a buffoon. And now I said, where does that come from? How do you make that leap of logic? Because I have questions of the shoot, because there's questions here, And I have questions if the police department can make a honest investigation when it's one of their own. I just don't. I think it's a conflict of interest.
Did you see on this topic? I think it was on Megyn Kelly's show, and they had like a town hall meeting kind of a thing. There was a whole bunch of people that they had a panel. I mean, like 20 people up on the stage in bleachers.
No, I didn't see that.
And some lunatic woman, I don't know, she has something to do with the BLM, and she was saying that the police departments all need to be eliminated and the community should take on it. Now, like, how crazy is that? I mean, she must be on smoking peyote, because you're going to have the people of the community take over this function. Well, quite honestly, the people in some of these communities are the problem in some of these urban areas.
Yeah.
And now you're going to have thugs and criminals making that call?
Right. You can't have
that'll just be anarchy.
Now,
that'll be a complete breakdown of society.
Now, what has to happen, really, to be honest with you, is there needs to be more training. Police need to be trained in different areas. And
no, there does not need to be more
I think there needs to be more sensitivity training.
No, there's not, because
I believe there does.
Police, no, because now you're kind of like wavering under the court of public opinion kind of aspect, because I forget what the number is, but the police have something like 90,000 interactions a month with people.
Mm-hmm.
Now, how often does this happen?
I understand that.
And generally, not always, generally, when instances like this happen, the people have rap sheets a mile long. And that's why the police are interacting there in the first place.
I got you there. All right, that's not why I'm saying. That's not the training I'm talking about. The training I'm talking about.
No, they are getting the sensitivity training. I know what you're talking about, and you have to.
I don't know how you know what I'm talking about. I don't know what.
Well,
how can you say that when you won't let me finish my sentence?
Well, you said previously sensitivity training.
Right, and the reason I say sensitivity training is because there are police that are on the job today that shouldn't be police officers. I'm going to say it. All right, I've seen them. I know a few. They shouldn't be police officers. All right, I don't know why they decided to take that job. All right, for whatever reason, but they are a detriment to the community. And what happens is other police officers, they back him up, and they allow him to continue doing what they do, and it is a black eye to the rest of the police force. Now, I understand it's a brotherhood, and I understand you don't turn another brother in and stuff like this, but the few, and I'm not saying either one of these officers, I'm not saying either one of these shoots, these officers did anything wrong. I'm not saying that. What I'm saying is that there are officers out there that shouldn't be police officers, and they need to be identified, and they need to be removed from the force. Okay, and that's a sensitivity training I'm saying is you cannot protect somebody, even if this officer made a bad shoot. And I'm not saying he did. I'm just saying hypothetically, if he made a bad shoot, then maybe this shouldn't be his career. Okay. You don't have, it's in a life and death situation or something like that. Once you pull your gun out and once you shoot somebody, you damn well better make sure it's a good shoot. All right. You only get one chance. And I understand, if you make a bad shoot or something like that, then, you only get one chance, and you shouldn't be a police officer. That's my opinion. And it's all, and again, my opinion only. So I just don't like the way. And I've seen it. I worked in a union. I know how it works. I know what you do. Sometimes you cover up for people and stuff like that. But even in the situations where what I'm doing, wasn't really life and, what I was doing wasn't life and death. If a guy made a mistake, you kind of covered it up. Was it a big mistake, a little mistake, or whatever? It didn't matter. And again, I know you're in a union. And I don't know how that works. But I
work with a lot of former police officers, too.
I'm sure you do. And, and they're probably going to be pissed. They're probably going to talk to you and say, well, I tell you what, your partner's a real asshole. And you know what? You're allowed to have your opinion. I understand that. And if you were honest with yourself, if you're a former police officer and you're honest with yourself, one or two police officers that shouldn't have been able to wear a badge. If you're honest with yourself, that's all I'm saying. And to be able to protect them, now we're having a situation. Now we're in kind of a situation now where all the cops are bad. And that's not fair.
Now, for you to take that tangent about police protecting each other, what is it in these stories that leads you to make that statement?
Nothing in these stories. Nothing in these stories.
That's why I'm curious as to why you broached that subject.
Because, like I said before,
I'd like to rely on stats. So,
well, the stats are, I know a few police officers that shouldn't be police officers. That's the stats.
That's anecdotal.
Okay, that's anecdotal.
That's anecdotal.
I don't have stats.
I can't go on to Google and say number of police officers John Buchanan doesn't think should be police. Nothing's going to pop up.
You're absolutely right.
So that's anecdotal.
Okay, so fine.
Okay.
So let me ask you a question. You know me.
But what I'm saying by relying on the stats is just the sheer number of interactions that the police have with the public. And it's like 99.99999% or something absurdly high. Nothing at all happens.
I got you. All right, but let me ask you this question. You know me for 30-something years, okay? 20 years, 20-something years. 29 years. Am I a reasonably intelligent person? Do I normally have pretty good logic?
Now you got me in a box here.
No. So, here we go. Here we go.
Nah, I just wanted to break your
balls.
No.
All right, sorry.
What's Jimmy in the room?
No. I see a little tap dancing over there, my friend. Now, what I'm saying is, you're right.
By saying you got me in a box.
Right. It's anecdotal because
I don't know if you saw the new Deadpool. If you saw the Deadpool,
no, I did not.
I know you're not a comic.
I'm not a comic. I'm sorry.
It went over your head.
You're speaking French.
No, I would say you're smart.
Okay, so when I say that I know a few police officers that really shouldn't be police officers. You think that?
But you could say that about any occupation. I know
absolutely. That's
Hold on. I know Wawa people that should be working in a Wawa.
I don't know how this got into conversation. Of course, I know guys that pump gas that shouldn't pump gas. I mean,
right? You could say that about any occupation.
Absolutely. So you're proving my point. So what I'm saying is that these police officers need to police themselves.
What you have there is a straw man argument.
What's a straw man argument?
You're making a straw man argument. No one is saying that there aren't bad people out there.
Exactly.
Okay, no one is saying that, but you when you come out, if you make a statement of that nature, of that the cops are protecting each other, you have to produce some. No, you have to produce evidence.
Okay, I have to produce evidence. I don't know. I didn't realize this. I thought this was a podcast. I didn't realize this was a court of law. But again, we're having a conversation here about things, and like I say, I do believe, and I've seen it in unions, and I know it's human nature. It's almost human nature. And what I'm saying is that some of these bad shoots and some of these situations where they have people on camera, this is why the police are now they're targets, and it's criminal. It's a shame, and it has to stop. And how does it stop? By just saying stop it? That's not going to stop. Making laws? It's not going to stop. Taking guns away? It's not going to stop. None of this is going to stop it. So, again, I just think that there has to be a public showing of...
Well, in my opinion, it would be great if the commander-in-chief would condemn this, because a lot of these police officers are saying that he's part of the problem, because
I believe that.
He has these if you have someone that's a terrorist at the White House, which I believe the leader, whoever the guy was that Obama had at the White House last week, the leader of Black Lives Matter, and they're condoning shooting police officers and assassinating. And we've all seen the chants. What do we want? Dead cops, pigs in a blanket, fry them like bacon, all that stuff.
Do you have? Do you know that they say shoot? I know that they yell that. I know they.
You've
chant
never
that.
Seen those videos?
No, I see the videos. I've seen the videos, but do you know that the leader of the Black Lives Matter, because I've seen him interviewed, and I don't see him as militant in he wants. I haven't seen him say that. Is what I'm saying.
But if you have the leader of an organization that's leading protests of that nature, look at it this way: you're an NRA member, right?
Yes,
I'm an NRA member.
Okay,
doesn't it? Why is it that he's so fast, and a lot of these people in the public arena that's their goal, to disarm people?
I agree with that.
They're so fast to condemn the National Rifle Association as a hate group,
right?
And they're not. It's not a hate group.
No, it's not.
But now you've got someone that's representative. He's a leader of a party that's condoning the shooting of police officers, breaking down the fabric of the country. Don't you have a problem with that?
I have a huge problem with that. Yeah. I mean, it was.
So now, wouldn't it behoove the president
Yes.
to like not do things like that? You know, he comes out with these blanket platitudes that are written by a lawyer. You can tell because he's trying to please both sides, and he comes out half baked, in my opinion. I mean, I'm not the biggest fan of the guy in the world. We all know that, but you don't come out with a statement that pleases nobody. Sometimes you got to make that hard stand. And I don't know why. It just seems like he wants this. And I don't know why that is.
My humble opinion is because he wants to disarm the populace, because I feel that's the Democratic platform, is to be able to disarm the populace. Then you can do whatever you want with them because they have no way of fighting back. That's my humble opinion. I think that's what we're going to right now.
But I think we should go back to what we started with: is let it play out. You know, ignore the kangaroo courts of trials in the public arena because they never work.
Exactly.
And now you'll never get an unbiased jury. That's the problem with this.
Right.
It is impossible nowadays to get, in my opinion, an unbiased jury because of
all the video,
social media,
and everything that
and
happens.
not even so much the news media. I mean, it's the social media because everybody wants their 15 minutes of fame. Oh, my boyfriend's been shot. Let me live stream this.
Right.
I mean, that's...
Well, I mean, she can't do anything. She feels like she needs to do something. She's trying to document this.
You can get on the phone and call 911.
Oh, well, I'm sure somebody was calling home. I don't know, and I don't know. I don't know if I don't know.
Were in the car with.
I don't think
if
I
you were in
now.
the car with me and you got shot.
I don't think I would.
I'm not going to say, "Oh, let me take out my camera and record this."
Hold on, John. Let me try to get your good side. No, I understand that. And I understand pulling out your... again, that's not my first thought. That's not my first thought if somebody shot somebody that I cared about. I'd probably be laying next to him because I probably would have went after the cop myself. Probably would have been laying next to him with 6... I don't know how many more shots they have in them clips. Probably been laying next to him with that many holes in me.
Well, the proper term is a magazine.
A magazine. Yes.
You go, Hollywood.
That's right. I mean, at that point, it becomes survival. It becomes down to the, most basic human element, which is survival and protecting your own. So I don't know what to do in that point. I can't even imagine. I can't even imagine what it must be like.
Did you ever have a gun pulled on you by a cop?
No.
I did. It's horrible. Once I was looking down that barrel, those hands went right up.
Oh, yeah.
So it's just like, I'm going to turn here. And I got right on, it was like, it was a misunderstanding. I was coming out of my uncle's store. Somebody saw me going in 2 a.m. I went in there to fold newspapers up for the Sunday paper. And I hear all these cars coming in. I was like, oh, somebody's here. And then they're surrounding the building. And I walked out and there was 3 cops from 3 different townships, and they had guns drawn on me. And I just put my hands right up and got on my knees. And guess what? Here I am 30 years later.
Yeah, because you complied.
Yeah, that's the answer.
Right, exactly. Do what you're told. That's why the shooting in Minnesota really, I need more information. I need more information.
That's just it. We're feeding into it. We're feeding the beast ourselves by doing this,
right? By having
we don't know yet
having this conversation,
right?
Yeah. So I guess I'm doing the same thing, but we're having we're having a debate, we're having a conversation. I haven't made my mind up yet. I want more. What I'm saying is, I want more information.
Well, you can't make your mind up yet because there isn't enough facts to examine.
Right.
Neither one of us. Nobody does.
Although now, any officers, former officers, retired officers, probably thinks I'm a jerk off because of what I said. And okay, I'll take that.
No.
Well, I'll take that because it's my opinion. All right, I don't have the experience that you have, and I understand that. But what my thing is, from the outside looking in, I think I would like to see some policing by the police. That's all. I think it would go a long way. The basic problem right now is the police has a public relation problem with the public. They have a brand problem. If you want to break it down,
they have a public relations problem with a segment of the population whose whole movement was founded on a false narrative.
Exactly.
And that was the Michael Brown incident in Ferguson.
And I agree with that too, because I wholeheartedly believe that kid was a thug, and that if he didn't try to take on the police, he'd still be alive. And that whole thing started, hands up, don't shoot.
Here's the thing. Everyone's got cameras out.
Right.
Okay. Always. Everyone's got a camera out. You had all these witnesses when he reached into the car to pull that officer's gun out, and the gun was discharged in the car.
Right.
And then the officer got out. There's not one video from any cell phone from any of those people. Why is that? Well, probably because they all knew. You're talking about people sticking up for each other, the police. There's a textbook example. Not one of those people, those civilians, shot any video of Michael Brown rushing that police officer to do him bodily harm.
Right.
Not a one.
Yeah.
And Eric Holder's Justice Department exonerated that officer, and there was 3 separate autopsies that said the same exact thing. The way that the shots were fired and entered his body, there's no way that this guy had his hands up and he was surrendering. But this is what we've got now.
Right.
And you can lay all the blame at this.
Well, I'm saying
at the White House.
Okay. But I'm also saying that it's from both sides. In other words, the people, okay, perfect example. There was an officer in South Carolina. Something happened. The guy was running away. And someone filmed him shooting.
Well, that guy was a real lunatic.
Exactly.
I agree with you. That guy was from either North Jersey or I think he was originally from New York. I believe he was a North Jersey police officer.
Right.
And that was like blatant murder. I mean, no ifs, ands, or buts about that.
And he's in jail.
And I'm not denying that stuff like that happens.
Right.
But when you have these instances that are cloaked in confusion, we have to give the process time.
We have to do due process. And you're right. With everything that's going on today, how in the heck does anybody get a fair trial in a situation like that? It's impossible. Yeah, so anyhow, to end my story with the Jimmy, we were going round and round and round, and at the very end, I had him moving all, he was trying to get where he circled around, and I wasn't letting him. I kind of cornered him, and then finally, at the very end, he kind of gave up, and then at the very end of everything, he hung up. And he hasn't talked to me since. And I figured there's probably a 3-day cool down over the.
I don't know. After he hears this podcast, I think everything's going to ramp right back.
I'll get a call.
Again, don't you?
Next thing I know, I'll be sitting here in a.
It's the Jimmy. Oh, Jimmy, what do you do? What do you do? It's the Jimmy. Oh, Jimmy, what do you do?
What's up, Jimmy? I want to bring him on the podcast. I do. I want to bring him in as a guest. I'll set up another mic in here one day, and we'll have to do it. We'll have to make it at night, so he's. We record in the afternoon, and he can't make it. But we should really actually have him in here because he's a hoot.
I haven't seen him in a million years. The last time I saw him is when the 68 Corvette was.
That was my cousin Mike. That's his brother.
Yeah, but I mean that's
okay. He was
but
there
I
too.
saw the both of them then, and they were in the process of restoring that. And now, how many years has he parted with that Corvette? I mean, that's like 92, 93. I think Mike sold that.
Probably, yeah.
It's a long time. I know he's parted with that.
Oh, here's a funny story. So anyhow, one day I was sitting. It was maybe about a week ago, and all of a sudden,
it's the Jimmy. Oh, Jimmy, what do you do?
So I pick up the phone and I go, "Hey, what's going on?" He goes, "What's Deuce do for a living?" And I said, "I can't tell you." And he goes, "What do you mean you can't?" I said, "I can't tell you." And I said, "He doesn't want anybody to know what he does, and I respect that." So he goes, "Oh, well, I was driving through somewhere around here, and I saw Deuce's gun shop, and I thought maybe that's what he does." And I said, "No."
I wish. It'd be like a wet dream come true.
Yeah, I said, "No, it's not. That's not Deuce's gun shop." So, but yeah, so he was asking me, what you do and stuff like that, and I just said, maybe
now I have to go to that gun shop.
You have to go to Deuce's gun shop now. Get a picture.
He's got a T-shirt. Maybe he's got.
There you go. Maybe he does have.
I still got to get you that T-shirt for the Heart Attack Grill T-shirt.
We do have to go out and grab something. We have to take the show on the road.
Road trip.
We should actually go somewhere and record live. I think I would like to do that. Yeah. So anyhow, the Jimmy, he's not talking to me right now, and probably after this video, I'll get a call. He won't be able to stop himself once he hears this.
It's the Jimmy. Oh, Jimmy, what do you do?
What do you do?
What happened with that was there's an app on my phone. It's called the Auto Wrap, and it's by Mule.
Yeah, I heard you and Jess
Right,
talking
and I was
about
playing
it.
with it.
2:00 this morning when I was not sleeping. It's like, oh, good, I have a new podcast to listen to.
Right, and so what I did was I was messing with the app, and then I took the Jimmy rap, and then I took it and I drug it into iTunes, and I made a ringtone out of
So
it.
it was almost like a Gangster Paradise kind of a feel to it.
Right, and then
Coolio?
Right, so that's exactly where it's from. That's the Coolio. That's exactly what it's from.
Oh, okay.
So
See, I'm smart.
I'm smart.
Not dumb.
So
Not like people think.
So now every time he calls me now, I crack up when I hear it. Oh, the Jimmy.
Hey guys, Becky here. Ever notice we always use the hashtag Podern Family? Podern Family is a community of podcasts that support each other and promote each other. Here's the cool part. Now you listeners can search for hashtag Podern Family and connect to hundreds of podcasts. So many you're guaranteed to find something you like. Or if you don't want to do the searching yourself, you can follow @Podern Family on Twitter and let them retweet shows to you. So what are you waiting for? Go find some podcasts to listen to.
Hey guys, check out NowThatI'mOlder.com every Thursday for a brand new episode of the podcast Now That I'm Older. It's a show about how getting older sucks but can be awesome at the exact same time with your host Shane Smith.
Woo! Wheeling dealing, limousine riding, jet flying, son of a gun,
And Ken Baldwin.
The best there is, the best there was, and the best there ever will be.
We talk about things that happened to us when we were younger. We talk about some random news stories, and we basically just sit around and shoot the shit. So check out NowThatI'mOlder.com every Thursday for a brand new episode. Thanks a lot.
I think it might be time for, you're always wondering what you want to do or something. Maybe it's time for you, John, to go into business for yourself.
Okay, you've intrigued me. I mean, you put this up 2 weeks ago, and you wouldn't tell me anything about it. All it says is in the notes is, let's start a business.
And, you got to, you have to have the right feel. There's a lot that goes into going into a business. Now, if you had the inkling, what kind of business would you like to go into?
Broadcasting. You kind of.
No, you're wrong.
I'm sorry. Hold on a second. I'm wrong. How am I wrong?
You're wrong.
You asked me a question about me. I'm wrong?
Yeah, exactly. You're wrong.
Okay.
What you want to do is open a Chinese food restaurant.
Oh.
This is what you want to do. So,
Okay. Why do I want to open
right.
a Chinese restaurant? Why do I?
well, because you can always have good Chinese. You like Chinese.
Love Chinese
I like
food.
Chinese.
Hey,
Right. It's
do you,
awesome.
do you realize I don't know how to cook?
Yes.
No, I know
Well,
how to
I know
cook. I'm
you know how to
I'm
cook
horrible
some
at it.
things.
I don't make good food.
But, the biggest thing, what do you think the most important thing in any business, especially your Chinese food? What would be the most important thing you think would have to come up with to reach the people?
Advertising.
Okay. And along with advertising, you're kind of on the right path.
I would need to put out a good product, give more value than I'm taking in. In other words, give a good value product for the amount of money that they're paying for it.
Okay, exactly.
And
then what's the first thing that people are going to notice when they're driving down the road and they see your business?
Well, I guess it would be the sign out front.
Right.
There we go.
Okay. Which means you have to come up with a name.
I have to come up with a name.
Right.
Okay.
And now what I did is, from years of observation, I've noticed a thing.
Okay.
All those years driving on the road, I bought this sophisticated piece of equipment. I'm holding it up here. Okay. Now you know what this is.
It's a twister wheel. It's the spinner,
Right.
the twister spinner.
That's right. Milton Bradley's got a hot one. It's a twister.
All right, now you're
spin
gonna-
the spinner and call the shot. Twister ties you up in a knot. Okay, so now what we're going to do, I've gone to the trouble of making templates up,
Okay.
and we're going to figure out what your restaurant's name is going to be.
I'm all over this.
Okay, so this is template number 1. All right, put the spinner on. Okay, you got a piece of paper and a pen?
Yes,
there?
I do.
You can write this stuff
All
down.
right.
All right, I'm going to give it the first spin.
Go ahead.
Yes, round and round she goes. All right, chef.
Chef.
Okay.
Got that.
All right, now we go to template number 2.
Okay.
All right.
Heard that snap in there, boy. I'll tell you what, you're doing it.
Yes. Spin it
Here
again.
we go.
Okay, it's John.
Chef John. I'm liking this so far. There's personal branding here.
And this could work for anything, you know. And there's a lot of choices on the wheel,
Okay.
on the templates that I made.
All right.
Okay, bear with me. Now we got the third part of your name.
All right.
Round and around she goes. Royal.
Chef John Royal.
Well, you might want to make that John's.
Chef
Obviously it would be-
John's Royal. There we go. Okay.
All right. And now we'll go to the fourth. Okay, you need an animal because there's always a clever animal in a Chinese food restaurant's name.
Oh, okay. Here we go.
So here we
Hope it's
go.
not cat. That won't be good for the branding.
Tiger.
Tiger. John's Royal Tiger.
Okay. Now we got to determine what style of food you're going to serve because there's a lot in the Asian cuisine.
Right.
So, all right. Spin it around. Peking.
Peking.
Peking. All right. Now, one of the most important things about restaurants is location, location, location.
Absolutely.
So now what this one will determine is if you look at your screen.
Okay. I'm looking.
Okay, you're either going to be in a low rent district or a high rent district. So this will determine.
Can I be like in a middle class neighborhood?
Well, yeah, you could, but I'm just saying.
Because I think low or high doesn't really bode well for Chinese food.
Well, yes, it does.
Okay, here we go.
They have Chinese food restaurants in Camden.
I understand that.
Okay, so
I don't know how well they do.
everyone loves Chinese. All right, you're going to be in a high rent.
There we go. I like that.
There you go. Now you're in Cherry Hill.
Okay.
You're all set. All right, so now what we do is we disregard the low rent district names and go to the high rent district.
Well, let me
names.
ask you a question. What were some of the low rent district names? If you could just tell me. I want to see what I missed.
Okay, you could have been bistro,
All right.
inn, buffet, kitchen, grill, diner, hut, or cafe.
Pekin Hut. Okay, I got that. Okay. All right. I can't wait for the hut. I can't wait for the
Okay, but you are now in Cherry Hill or Medford Lakes. You're in the, so you will now be Temple. Okay, so now you can read off your restaurant's name.
Chef John's Royal Tiger Peking Temple. Peking Temple.
There you go.
So that's my new restaurant.
That would be your restaurant's
And
name.
I would serve Chinese food there.
Right.
Would I serve sushi?
Well, yeah.
If I wanted.
Let's see when you're going to serve the Peking style.
Right. So this was only Chinese food. So we really couldn't do this with any other kind of business.
No, it's just like I've noticed at Chinese food restaurants. I drove around forever. I eat in a lot of Chinese food restaurants. And they all have the same. I swear they must use a twister wheel to determine their names.
All right. You are going to get your Chinese restaurant. All right. Now, we'll have to come up with name. Go get the wheel.
You'll name
names. All right.
Yeah, there's like one head Chinese guy. He's in charge of all this
So
stuff.
instead of chef, what were my other choices?
All right. Well, here, you can probably. Can you read
Let me
this?
see. Emperor, Imperial, General, Lucky. So I could have been Lucky John's Royal Tiger Peking Temple?
Yep.
All right. Or General John's. I don't think I want to be General. All right. I like chef. And actually, it actually works for a high rent. I like that. How about that?
It just kind of like worked out that way. So now for your name, see if this one stirs any memories.
Oh, no. John Alexander, Buchanan, Johnny's, and then I move it over to there we go. John. Okay. How about that?
Do you remember John Alexander?
Yeah, that was my first radio name that went down.
See, aren't you glad I'm around to remind you of these things?
That's what happened to my first radio name. And, I often wanted. I wish I now could go back and have a radio name. I think I would have changed. I think I would have changed my name. I don't even know if I would have used John. I don't know what I would have been. How come I can name everybody else, but I can't come up with my own name?
Because you're not self-absorbed. Okay.
Right.
Now, the third one, there's a lot that you could have choose from here. You could have been Golden,
Right.
Jade, Emerald, Bamboo, Moon, Little, Royal, and Happy.
Well, there's no way I was little. Chef John Little Tiger.
And you could have been Tiger, Panda, Dragon, or Phoenix.
Probably Panda would have been better.
Yeah, Kung Fu Panda.
Right.
And then now your style, you could have been Peking, Mongolian, Thai, Mandarin, Cantonese, Chinese, Oriental, or Shanghai.
If I could have picked, I would have picked Mandarin.
There you go. And then you got village, palace, castle, temple, house, tower, pagoda, garden.
I like the temple. Because, you know, I like that part of it.
Want to do another one?
Sure.
Just for shits and giggles?
Let's do you.
Yeah, because, well, it's going to be Deuce no matter what, because I don't have any other. We go with Supreme Overlord, but it's a little
Yeah, right. Okay,
right.
So the first one will be do the first one and then see where we are, because we know the second one's going to be Deuce, so we won't have to do that one.
General
Deuce. Wow, you outranked me now. I was only a chef.
Yeah. Well, everybody. Well, I think Chef would outrank Mister or Lucky. So at least the chefs get the big high hat to wear.
That's true.
Do you know what those pleats in a chef's hat mean? I just found this out.
No.
I mean, I just thought they were like, but apparently a pleat in a chef's hat means the more that they have, it means it's the more ways that they know how to prepare an egg.
Get the hell out
I
of
didn't
there.
know that I didn't know there was that many goddamn ways to prepare an egg. Yeah, how to cook with eggs or something like that. It's some kind of weird, thing.
What are they, the Bubba of eggs? I get the softball egg, the softball egg. I get your fried egg. I make your egg omelet. I make your egg benedict. I make your egg.
All right, so you got Deuce in there.
You got your sliced
for the
egg.
second
You
name.
got your. I'm sorry. Yeah, General Deuces.
Okay, because Deuce is a Chinese name.
Oh,
All
General
right.
Deuce.
Now you go. The third part of the name would be Golden.
General Deuces Golden.
Did you have Golden too? Didn't you?
No, I had Royal.
Okay.
Let's find out what animal you are.
I'll probably get the fucking Panda.
I'll trade you Panda for Tiger.
Oh, I got the Dragon. All right.
Oh, look at you.
That made my day.
Yeah,
because it's
how
the
do I
little
know?
things
You
in
know,
life
you could
that
be
I
stopping it right there. You're like, I want to be the dragon.
No.
Okay.
No. I am a Jedi Knight, as we know. I'm very honest.
I know General Deuce to be man of honor.
All right, now we're going to see what kind of style of food I'm making.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I'm glad I bought this sophisticated equipment. You know,
What are you doing?
Twister goes for $16 for a spinner and a mat.
You bought
Well, yeah,
that?
I didn't have a Twister. Yeah, why not? It's a little fun.
Okay.
I got a Target too, so it was cheap.
All right.
Mandarin. All right, now we'll see what kind of district I'm going to be in, low or high.
Wait a minute. No, we got a Mandarin. You have to have some kind of house or something.
Yeah, we got to see if I'm going to be in a low rent district or a high rent, and then that'll determine the name.
I got you. Okay, here we go.
I'm going to be in a high rent district too. All right.
Oh, okay. We're going to be competing.
People in Camden are starving for Chinese food, but I ain't going there.
John and Deuce ain't going to be serving you any unless you come uptown.
All right. And last but not least, I got Temple too.
Temple. I don't know if I like just having the same last name.
Want me to do it again?
No. Here we go. So, would you eat at Chef John's Royal Tiger Peking Temple? Or would you rather go to General Deuce's Golden Dragon Mandarin Temple?
Right.
Where would you want to eat? If you had your choice, where would you eat? To be quite honest with you.
And you have a choice of you have a choice of two guys that treat their bodies like a temple. So hardy.
I treat mine like a pyramid.
I don't understand why I'm sick. I treat my body like a temple. I eat red meat and drink beer. How could this happen to me?
Oh my God! I can
So anyway,
walk
that was just something. For years and years, driving on the road, I always noticed that Chinese restaurants have this formulaic naming process, and it just always seems to be they're never very simple. There's always a multiple of words, and then you got the Chinese characters on there, and they're very splendid. They're always in yellow backgrounds with red letters, so it's just like a thing. Like, so you can spot a Chinese restaurant, I guess.
And they're always red inside because they say red is supposed to be
red and black and gold.
Supposed to be good for the color red is good for appetite.
Right. And it also hides all the blood stains in case there was a massacre going on in there. Just like the British wearing the red coats during the Revolutionary War. So.
Oh, my goodness.
But anyway, just a little,
I wonder if you could,
little piece of whimsy that I threw out.
Have you noticed any kind of similar kind of names that you could do on that wheel for landscaping businesses? Because they're all over the place, too.
Yeah, you could probably, if I observed it long enough, I could probably see. That's what's good about this sophisticated piece of technology that I have, is we can use that for anything now.
Spin the wheel.
You could spin the spinner and call the shot.
There we go.
Twister ties you up in a knot.
See, I don't remember that. I don't remember the.
You don't remember the whole
No.
jingle? Well, now it's not even. Milton Bradley must have went out of business because now it says Hasbro on the box.
How about that? I don't know.
Because that was the opening line in the whole jingle. Milton Bradley has a hot one. It's a twister. Spin the spinner and call the shot.
I don't remember any of that.
Twister ties you up in a knot. Right hand blue, left hand red. You know.
Hang on one second.
Oh, I'm sure if you Google it, it's
hang
out
on.
there.
I was just going to go.
YouTube will have it.
Exactly
I know
where I
they
was
will.
heading.
I had a great babysitter. It was called television. So I remember all this stuff.
Might be this. Let's try this.
Have a new one, it's a twister. Get you all twisted and tangled, it's a twister. Spin the spinner and call the shop. Twister ties you up in a knot. That's twister. Yeah, twister.
Right foot blue.
Right foot blue.
Left hand red.
Left hand red.
Left.
Right.
Yellow.
Blue.
Green.
Yeah, twister. You gotta play twister in your stocking feet. Standing on this crazy colored sheet.
It's a long commercial.
Yeah, twister. Who makes the best games in the world? Bill Twister. I'm Twister Bradley. Oh, you gotta get it. Yeah, twister.
From MD.
There you go. You got it.
Yep.
So that's it. Well, it's funny. They say Twister is 50 years old this year. How about that?
Yeah. It's been around a while.
I don't know how many people play it. Well, now it's the whole strip.
Well, it's still pretty popular.
Now they have striptease Twister.
Well,
I guess listen, you can strip anything. I mean, strip poker, strip tease, Twister.
Milton Bradley is a pervert. He plays Twister. Yeah, so.
He takes his clothes off and they play Twister.
I remember watching that all the time in between the Ultraman commercials while watching Ultraman as a kid.
Put on your socks. Because if you rip this plastic mat, your dad will put his foot up your ass. It's Twister.
I have to tell you what, it's you want to get like really odd looks.
Sure, that's what I go for.
Be a gentleman of our vintage and walk into the Target and pick up a Twister. And this girl is like ringing me out. She's like 18, 19 years old. Look at this old pervert.
You walk up to someone that's sitting there working. And you walk up with the Twister under your arm. You say, "Excuse me, where's the baby oil at?"
God knows what was running through this little girl's mind. Yeah, it's okay. I'm a podcaster. Yeah. It's all good.
This is only for like a 15-minute bit, and then it's over.
15 minutes of flame. It's good. Well, we can use it for anything else down the road.
I have a feeling the Twister wheel is going to be used a lot now in the podcast. Yeah. Look at you doing content. I love it when you come up with this stuff. I wasn't sure that I wanted to. I wasn't sure that I wanted to be a Chinese, own a Chinese restaurant. I mean, how do you own a Chinese restaurant when you don't speak the language? You just can't go in there and talk in an accent.
Yeah, well, there's a lot of pizzerias that aren't owned by Italians either.
That's true. I think the Greeks took over.
Yeah.
Lousy Greeks.
Like Homer Simpson. Lousy Greeks.
All right. And our last actual topic of the podcast. We made you wait till the end because we wanted to hold you through all that other stuff. Because I know you can't wait to find out who makes it to the Fantastic Four from the Elite Eight in the Hot Babes bracket of the Brand X podcast.
Okay,
I am ready. And I can't remember who.
All right.
I can't remember who's in the bracket. So
Yeah, it's been a couple of weeks now, so this might be all fresh to you.
yeah, I might have changed my mind.
Yeah, you could have been a politician and changed your mind. But now they call that evolving on an issue. Okay.
I might have evolved on this issue. We'll see.
Okay, in the first conference, which is like the real girl next door type. All right, you've got Joyce DeWitt as Janet Wood in Three's Company against Bailey Quarters, and played by Jan Smithers from WKRP in Cincinnati.
You know, it was funny because I thought about this. I remember looking at this as we did the last two. I knew this was coming up. And I'm thinking to myself, this is a tough one, but I got to tell you, both of them are very attractive. They're both very, to me, I like A Girl Next Door. Both of them are really, did I say Guy Next Door?
No, you said girl.
I was going to say, because if I say that, I got to scratch that.
Yeah.
Both of them are guys next door. Both of them are girls next door. You know, the girl next door, which I love. I love that look. But to be honest with you, sorry, Joyce, but Bailey.
Oh, wow. Jan
Yeah,
Smithers.
I'm telling you, Deuce,
She sends you, huh?
yeah, she really helped me through puberty.
She melts your butter, huh?
She melted my butter.
Okay.
That was that whole kind of didn't really have a lot of self-esteem kind of thing going on there. Yeah. And she's very, very attractive.
Yeah. And didn't
smoking hot.
Yeah. And wasn't smug about it, which is always
exactly.
way more
wasn't
attractive.
Put together like a plastic Barbie doll like Lonnie Anderson.
China doll. Okay.
Exactly.
Which she could eat at Chef Johnny's.
Yes. Chef John's Royal Tiger Peking Temple.
Right. No.
It's in a high rent district.
Okay. Got a conference 2. This is like the super powered. You got Farrah Fawcett playing Jill from Charlie's Angels against Agent 99, Barbara Feldon from Get Smart.
Wow. You know, to be quite honest with you, it's really not a contest. I mean, Farrah Fawcett, probably another one that kind of helped me through the puberty years. Not that Agent 99 is not a very attractive woman, but when you put her up against Farrah Fawcett, you kind of forget what you were even talking about with Agent 99.
Yes.
I mean, she's like, you don't even notice her anymore. And that's not to say she's not an attractive woman, but, you know, Farrah Fawcett's like a 10.
Oh.
And Agent 99, she's like, she's a Jersey 9 and like a Vegas 7. You know what I mean? But Farrah Fawcett's a Vegas 10 and a regular 10.
Yeah, she's very, very iconic.
Very iconic. So Farrah Fawcett.
Farrah Fawcett edging out 99. All right. Here's another tough bracket for you. Dawn Wells as Mary Ann against Maureen McCormick from the Brady Bunch.
That's tough. I mean, because, see, the issue here is Marsha was around my age, where Mary Ann was always older than me. She was like, unobtainable. But Marsha was gettable back in the day. Probably now for an 8-ball, but I digress. Let me think about this. I'm thinking about the halter top on Mary Ann, the high shorts, and then Marsha, more of a girl next door, little crazy.
It's a tough decision.
I mean, 3 times I almost said a name, and I pulled it back. All right, Marsha.
Whoa, I didn't see that coming at all.
It was really tough.
I thought you'd buckle.
2 times I almost said Mary Ann, but it's just that Marsha, that long, straight hair. Yes.
Okay. Maureen McCormick is the third of the final 4. Okay. And the last bracket, or the last choice in the Conference 2 bracket, is Elizabeth Montgomery as Samantha Stevens against Raquel Welch in the fur bikini from 1 Million BC.
Now, you would think that it would be a no-brainer for Raquel Welch. She's stunning. She's a very attractive woman, still very attractive today. But she's like very, very Hollywood. I mean, not that Elizabeth Montgomery wasn't Hollywood, but she was more of a girl next door kind of wholesome look.
And she was a witch.
And she was a witch. You know, you gotta love that. Oh my God.
See, they get harder and harder. You thought that
they do get harder and harder. I mean, I was just about as soon as you said Raquel Welch, I was ready to go with Raquel Welch, but I was like, you know what? This isn't a no-brainer here. These two are hot, and you know, I have up on my screen here, I have pictures of them, and Elizabeth Montgomery is pretty smoking hot.
Did you ever see those old pictures of her on the bearskin rug and all that?
Yes, yeah, it's exactly what I'm looking at right now. You know, and you know me, I'm like a big old teddy bear. I'm going Elizabeth Montgomery.
Wow, okay, another surprise. Okay.
I surprised myself on that.
Because you plowed right through all the choices. Every time Raquel Welch came up, it was like Raquel.
Yeah, I mean, don't get me wrong. She's a stunning woman, but there's just something about Elizabeth Montgomery. She's more wholesome American, like that whole wiggling the nose thing.
Yep. Ding. You have a sound effect for that, right?
I thought I did. That's what I was looking for right here, and I can't find it. Did I take it out of here? I must have taken it out of here.
Yeah, you can drop it in.
There we go.
Okay, so now we've got the final four.
Which will be, what are the brackets?
It'll be Jan Smithers and Maureen McCormick, Farrah Fawcett, and Elizabeth Montgomery. That would be the final four.
Wow, that's a tough one. Okay, so that's the final four. So you listeners, do me a favor. Go to social media. Go to the Brand X Podcast on Twitter. Go to Facebook. And let us know what you think. Give us your picks and see how you make out. See if, you know, my pick next week, if we match up or not. And if you want to check out our social media, you're listening to the podcast right now on your iPhone, all you have to do is tap the cover art, and that'll bring up the description. And all our social media links are right there. So if you're on the Twitter, follow us on Twitter. And if you're in Facebook is your social media of choice, then follow us on Facebook, like our Facebook page, and then you can also follow us over there on Instagram. So, and individually, we have our individual Twitter handles there. I'm John Buchanan, and you are Deuce Brand X, I think.
Yeah,
something like that. But just tap the cover art and it has all the links right there, because you know me, I have a memory like a sieve.
Yeah. Or a memory like a steel trap. It mangles everything.
That's exactly what I have. I have a memory like a steel trap. It mangles everything. Thank you so much. There we go. All right, thank you so much for joining us. And remember, we do want to hear from you. So please join in the conversation. We're on Facebook. We're on Instagram. And, of course, the Twitter. And you can find all of our social media links by, like I said, tapping that cover art of this episode and going to the episode description. And if you have iTunes and you would be a friend of the show, if you went to thebrandxpodcast.com/iTunes and gave us an honest rating and review, we would love that. Thank you, Don, for giving and validating me. Thank you, Don, for validating me and giving us a review. And I love the fact that you're listening. And if I can get you a microphone, or if you want to either go to my place or Deuce's place, we'd love to have you one time as a co-host on the podcast. And we would also love it if you come back next week for another episode of the Brand X Podcast.
Have a great day.
That's it. We're just getting into it.